Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and I got a barn burner for you because this video right here, and I'm just going to tell everybody, watch your back on your jobs because same thing that happened to these two guys can happen to you. The title of this video is The Media Shakeup, the ousting of Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson. Now, when you look at the whole media, now this is very, very fragile here. Now, I didn't agree with anything that Don Lemon said, and I didn't care what his sexual orientation was. But he was a trooper over at CNN. And Tucker Carlson, I remember when Tucker Carlson was on the old crossfire with Bill Cross. Now, he used to get roasted back in those days, but he became a strong leader. Now, I used to be an advocate of Fox News. Stopped watching Fox a long time ago. In fact, Fox News let go of Bill O'Reilly. Now, Bill O'Reilly, it was alleged. Now, the question is, here in America, what is really happening to free speech? In my humble opinion, we live in a sensitive country. This country, it seems to me that we have to bow down to every little item to make individuals feel good. But in the end, it just makes us a softer country. We're being laughed at. Now, when it comes to media moguls, you had one conservative and one liberal. Take out the political persuasion here or the political ideology, you had two men. How many women have you seen get fired from these broadcast networks? Did these guys get fired because of something they said to women? I don't know what went on behind the scenes. But what it is telling me is the news media is done. The mainstream media is now here on YouTube. Now, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about the media bloodbath. Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon are out in major media shakeups. The bloodbath. For individuals who want to be journalists, or for individuals who are working every day, watch your back too, because these are individuals who are making millions of dollars. Now, I know how it is to lose a job. Lost my fair share of jobs, but I got right back up. But these guys will get back up. Now, of course, the news of both of these gentlemen, it came abruptly on Monday. Now, Fox News host Tucker Carlson and CNN host Don Lemon both abruptly exited their cable news outlets on Monday following a series of controversies marking a seismic shift in the media landscape. Just hours before Fox News announced Carlson's departure in the statement, the network was still promoting his primetime show, indicating just how sudden his separation was. Now, Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. Fox News said in a statement, "We thank him for his service to the network as a host, and prior to that, as a contributor." Boy, that sounds weak. That sounds so. You thank him for his service, but then you throw something in him without grease. I felt that pain because you take a man's livelihood. Shout out to Ringo TV for getting on this as well. And this is very important when you go into work. I just did a video on human resources. And I'm just going to say this. Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon, although they were, I'm going to say, diametrically opposed to each other's ideologies politically, both of these individuals made lots of money. Now, Tucker Carlson already has a podcast, and I also believe, and it could be a rumor, that he's been offered a job as a director from OAN. That's another small media outlet. And I remember the same thing happened to Bill O'Reilly, because I used to watch him all the time on the 8 o'clock shift. Now, Tucker Carlson, watched him. And, Fox News is going down, in my opinion. CNN is already gone. But when it came to Tucker Carlson, his last program was Friday. Fox News Tonight will air, it still aired that night, 8 o'clock. And that's his slot. So what's going to happen? And Monday, it already started. It's going to be an interim show helmed by rotating Fox News personalities until a new host is named. Who are they going to put there? Brett Baird, Harris Faulkner, and Sean Hannity. You better watch out. And Laura Ingraham, your jobs may be next. And I remember Fox News is going through a whole host of individuals. I mean, you had Juan Williams left, the 5. I believe Bob Beckel, the 5, he passed away. Glenn Beck, he had the 5 o'clock slot. Now, Glenn Beck, he's doing The Blaze. That's his own show. So these guys have resources. They will make it. But I'm just telling everybody, mainstream media is right here on YouTube. And again, Lemon, his fiery response, he was also ousted. Why? Staying on Twitter that he was stunned that he had been terminated by the network. Well, Roland Martin, he used to work at CNN. He has his own show. Now, again, these are men who had a lot of controversy in their background and at work. You don't even know if you're being documented or not. I mean, look at YouTube. You have a number of people who are being doxxed for saying what they want to say. The bottom line is a lot of these news outlets don't report the news. They have become opinion shows. In the day, I remember CNN was real good back in the 80s, one of the best networks out there. And then Fox came along, and those two battled neck and neck for a while. But now, if you look at it, we have nothing but sensitive entertainers here in the media. Let me get back to the article. At no time, Lemon says, at no time was I given any indication that I would not be able to continue to do the work I have loved at the network. It is clear that there are some larger issues in play, he wrote. So CNN and the tweet said Lemon's statement is inaccurate and that he was offered an opportunity to meet with management, but instead released a statement on Twitter. The exits come ahead of the White House Correspondents' Dinner slated for Saturday, the annual event attended for decades by presidents from both parties, celebrates the First Amendment and honors journalists. The headliner usually takes stage to deliver the traditional WHCA dinner roast. This year's headliner, Roy Wood Jr., said he already threw out his script following the exits of Lemon and Carlson. Both anchors have faced their fair share of controversy in recent months leading up to their departures on Monday. Lemon, who had worked for CNN for 17 years, said on air Friday that presidential hopeful Nikki Haley isn't in her prime, and that a woman in her prime, in her 20s, 30s, and 40s. He later apologized for the comments on Twitter, didn't appear on CNN this morning, the next day. I mean, I remember Trent Lott. He was the senator for Mississippi. He said something about black people, and he had to go around and apologize to black people. It did not help his case. Now, let's look at the video about Don Lemon. Fair use. Fair use.
This whole talk about age makes me uncomfortable. I think it's the wrong road to go down. She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't necessarily.
40s. So I got another.
I'm not saying
decade.
I agree with that. So I think she has to be careful about saying that politicians aren't in their prime.
We need to qualify. Are you talking about prime for like childbearing, or are you talking about prime for being president?
What the facts are. Google it. Everybody at home. When is a woman in her prime? It says 20s, 30s, and 40s. And I'm just saying Nikki Haley should be careful about saying that politicians are not in their prime, and they need to be in their prime when they serve, because she wouldn't be in her prime according to
Google
or whatever it is.
Wow. And that being stated, let me share my screen again. That was amazing. In her prime. Now, it depends on how you want to take that. Now, I understood what he meant about being in her prime, youthfulness. But what about being in her prime as a politician? She's the governor of South Dakota, I believe. Just fair use, just bear with me while I dig up the article one more time here. Bear with me. All right. Apologize for the delay. Let me share my screen and get back up the information. Now, again, talked about Don Lemon. Okay. Because he had his opinion about something, does that mean that he was wrong? Okay. A lot of us interpret things a lot differently, and we have become overly sensitive in this country. And I'm ashamed of it because I served this country for 17 years. Now, again, when it came to Don Lemon, Variety published a report claiming that Lemon made other offensive comments about women on the air in the past and alleged inappropriate behavior toward female colleagues at CNN. Now, again, when you're at work, you have to play with extreme caution. And everybody knows that. Let me tell you something. If staff doesn't like you, you may be on for 20 years, but they're digging up a lot of dirt on you. I know it's happened to me. I mean, I've been snitched on at work. I've wanted to punch people out at work. I mean, this, this, this past Monday, 2 days ago, I got upset with somebody. And, I want to say this too about the job, particularly we Black people. And I'm a Gen Xer, an early Gen Xer, 43 to 58, that's the Gen Xers. Too many of us Gen Xers have been told by our parents to go to school, get a degree, and work for the man. Had I not even listened to YouTube, there's a lot of information that I would not have known. We didn't have that information because had I had the information, I would have started my own business a long time ago. And as Black people, many of us, we have this mindset that we have to be employees to make somebody else rich. And the bottom line is, as employees, we're always the ones who have to take all of the crap. You have managers who come in and other employees come in, they got their family problems. They're bringing their other personal problems into work. And many of us have to suffer. You have individuals who are plotting. If they don't like you, you're not part of the clique. They're going to find ways to oust you. And this is why, and guys, when you get into work, you can't be a man at work. Shout out to Ringo for saying all this too. Yes, I'm going to feed off of some things he said yesterday to back that up. That is true. You cannot be a man at work. You can't be a man at work because women are going to be offended. And this is why, in my opinion, I don't even like women in the workforce because you can't be a man. Now, thank goodness I work out there in a male dominant industry, construction. I don't have to interact with women that much, but I've heard women talk some crazy stuff on jobs. And, at one time, a long, long time ago, I worked at West Telemarketing and it was a woman, and me and a couple of guys were sitting in the hall talking, and she came right up to us and grabbed us, and we wouldn't complain about it. Now, this is back in 1997. Did anything happen to her? No, she kept her job. She just got demoted from a coach to being on the phones again. But if it had been a man, he would have been fired. And see, men, we have to start complaining more and more too, because the bottom line, we complain about sexual harassment and what women do, but a lot of us are making policies to allow this shenanigans. Now, let me get back to the article here. And this is based off of Tucker Carlson. And I like Tucker Carlson too. But news of Carlson's departure came the week after Fox News settled Dominion voting systems defamation lawsuit for $787.5 million. Carlson, along with host Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham, privately mocked regular guests such as Donald Trump's attorneys, Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, while continuing to promote conspiracy theories to their audience. Last month, the White House joined the widespread condemnation of Carlson, singling him out for his misleading portrayal of the U.S. Capitol riot on January 6, 2021. The revelations were made public as part of a lawsuit by Dominion. Former Carlson, Tucker Carlson Tonight producer, Abby Grossberg, is also suing the network after stating that she was unlawfully fired as an act of retaliation. Carlson joined Fox News as a contributor back in 2009. In 2017, Carlson took over the network's 8 p.m. show after Bill O'Reilly was forced out. Carlson was one of the most watched hosts on the cable news network with an average audience of 3.2 million viewers. On Monday morning, Fox News had still been previewing Carlson's show, teasing an interview with presidential hopeful Vivek Ramaswamy that would air Monday night. Fox News anchor Harris Faulkner addressed Tucker Carlson's departure Monday by stating, "We have some news from within our Fox family. Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have mutually agreed to part ways." Politicians, as well as former and current TV hosts, were quick to react to the news of the exits. And I remember Megyn Kelly, she was another one. She went over to CNN and she got ousted there. And NBC, she got ousted there. Now she's got her own podcast. And like I said, going to work, it's like a prison when you go to work, especially if you work in an office environment, because you have a lot of ass kissers. You have a lot of man. I worked that way in PennDOT. I felt like punching people out many times, but see, they were protected by the system. And you have a number of individuals out there who want to get you out of there. You can go in there and do your work day in and day out. And like I said, when I'm given a job, I just do that regular job. I don't do anything extra. I used to do that. You are not appreciated at work for whatever you do. You're not going to get that promotion. Work is not based on work anymore. It's based on how much ass you kiss. And when it comes to the workforce, I'm just going to say this. If you have the money and the time, start your own. Doesn't matter how old you are, start your own. Control your own destiny. It's not my job to go out there to make somebody else rich. And I'm not even talking about, most people say 9 to 5ers. No, this comes if you're working for any corporation, whether you're working 9 to 5, whether you're working 3 to 11, whether you're working 11 to 7. When you are on the clock for somebody, there's so many rules you have to follow, and you have people out there, they're really trying to tear you down. And one of the problems, when you lose your job, this is why you also have so many shootings that have taken place. Individuals, did they get terminated unlawfully? Well, I don't know. And there are going to be more of these shootings to take place, because look, when you take away somebody's livelihood, it's very difficult to get it back, because now people, they know your name. Now Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon and even Bill O'Reilly and Glenn Beck, Megyn Kelly, they're all big name individuals. They got a big severance package, and they were able, and Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon and even Roland Martin, they're able to have their own platform. And I believe Tucker Carlson already has a podcast, and the followers are going to go from Fox News to his podcast, and that means Fox News is going to lose out. Again, Fox News lost Bill O'Reilly and now Tucker Carlson. That 8 o'clock slot was the most popular slot. It did much better than not CNBC, but MSNBC and all the network news. I'm going to tell you this. I don't know what happened, but anything I see that is alleged, just throw it out. Anything alleged, it's not factual. It's got to be proven. Now, again, Megyn Kelly, she was part of Fox News. She left in 2017. And Fox host Sean Hannity posted to Twitter, later Don Lemon, but did not address Carlson's departure. Good news. The dumbest man on television, Don Lemon, has finally gotten fired from the fake news CNN, former President Trump said on Truth Social. My only question is, what took them so long? Trump posted on Truth Social. And in a tweet, Russian-backed English language news network RT News appeared to offer Carlson a job. Said, "Hey, Tucker Carlson, you can always question more with RT.com news wrote. Now, again, that sounds a little bit on the side of being sarcastic, but it's a shame when you get fired from your job. And you think about it. Now, these are high-powered people, but what about the coaches? In fact, the NFL, the no fun league, coaches are basically recycled. They get fired, they get hired, but you think about it. These individuals, they live in a whole different class above your average everyday person. And if the hammer can come down on them, look what it can do with us who go out every day and work. Corporations don't care about you. Management doesn't care about you. The corporations care about the stockholders. Number one, you're a stakeholder. And what I learned from the firings or the departures of Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson, everybody is expendable. I don't care how good you are. You can have done good for 35 straight years. You make one mistake, you're ousted. The bottom line is, you may not get another chance. And regardless of where Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson sit politically, America has become a low-down country to me. And when I mean a low-down country, we start to admire all these, and I don't care if you have an alternative lifestyle, but feminism, we admire that. We admire all the deviance. But when somebody fights against the deviance, or when somebody has a view against a woman. Now remember something, Don Lemon is a liberal. And he had 2 women in that studio with him. Now, was that set up? I don't know. I mean, that's very suspicious to me. And these women got sensitive because he stated something in his mind that he believed was true. He told him to look it up. Now, you can't Google everything because Google isn't always the truth. But he had a personal opinion. What if those women had a personal opinion about men? Nothing would have happened to them. Nothing would have happened to them at all. Now, again, this is not men against women, but I'm just giving you an example. This is what happens in a regular workforce. When you are a man on a job, you cannot be a man. That's why we have all these stupid sexual harassment courses and this team building, this feel-good bullshit that we have to cater to the individuals so they won't feel bad. And to me, you don't have a professional work environment. You have a prison. That's the problem. Now, again, those individuals I named, they have plenty of money. No, they got a severance package. What about guys like you and me? Gals like you and me? We do something, we're ousted. And depending on what state you live in, I live here in Indiana, it's a right to work state. They can fire you for anything. And again, I'm going to tell you this, when you're at work, document everything you do. Document everything you do. Now, if you do that, you keep your nose clean. And it's hard to keep your nose clean because you don't know who is watching. But believe it. I mean, I've been on jobs where I know more than a number of people. And they wanted to clip my wings. Some of them did. I know how it is to lose a job, but I got right back up and found another one. But again, who wants to go through the process of losing a job and then going out, finding another job. They're calling your reference. Who wants to deal with that? Who wants to deal with HR? HR isn't always fair. HR backs the corporation and the policies. And you can have somebody that doesn't like you, and they can allegedly get you fired. That's why guys look at these women at work. Keep going. Don't even go in a meeting alone with a woman. What Mike Pence did, he took his wife in a meeting with a woman because the hammer could drop. And my opinion, when they let women in the workforce, it made it worse. I don't have a problem with women working. They should go and establish their own concepts and just work with women all day. Certainly, they can be bosses, compete with us, but I don't believe men and women should work together. I never did at all. It's caused a problem. I mean, you look at how many men have been taken down for something alleged. And Don Lemon said something. Bill O'Reilly was accused of saying things about women. Now everybody's going to start coming out because you got a bunch of people like Joy Behar and those idiots at The View. Oh, they love this, but they're about some of the dumbest broads on television. Now, I guarantee if they say something, they won't lose their jobs. They won't. Now, people like, leave her name was, last name is Green. She's a congresswoman for Georgia. Oh, yeah. If she says something out of turn, oh, you're going to see it on Twitter and on Yahoo every day. See, the bottom line, it's certain people. But if you're in a minority and you vote on the right, whether you are involved in an alternative lifestyle, you're black, they're going to turn against you too. The problem with this country is it's not just soft, not just sensitive, but immature. We have a number of individuals who are down on their luck. And again, when it comes to working, they bring that nonsense into work. Drama follows them. And when they bring it into work, they can have an attitude with you one day and you say something back, they're going to HR and they're going to say you cursed them out. They're going to make up something about you and you could lose your job. The bottom line, the workforce is prison. Workforce is full of Marxists, fascists. Can't say anything. I mean, there have been many days I've had to keep my mouth shut because I wanted to loosen somebody's teeth. But in the end, with the system out here, go to jail. What they want you to do. They have a system that protects them. But again, you saw Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson. They make huge amounts of money. And look what happened to them. You look at some of these football coaches. And these guys are in the upper or the top 1% of earners. And they get ousted. And the bottom line is, particularly we as Black people, we need to stop always relying on going to college to get a degree. Or if we go to college to get a degree in something that's marketable. If you have a passion in something, start a business. Certainly it's hard. Yes, it is. Yeah, you have to keep it running. But let me ask you something. Do you want to keep running on the job from the drama? Some people don't even make it to 65 because they work so hard, they're not appreciated. My opinion is this: when you leave that door from your home and you go to work, you're at war 8 to 10 hours. You're dealing with individuals that are on their periods. You're dealing with individuals who are old, who are young. You're dealing with bosses who are not that good. You're dealing with employees that are kissing butt all day. They're in cliques. You're dealing with incompetent people. You're dealing with individuals, they don't do any work, and you're doing twice as much work, and they're looking for you to do something wrong so they can go back in there and tell the boss. And once they tell the boss you're getting written up, you might already be written up, but you don't know it because a lot of things go on behind the scenes. But in the end, you may think, okay, I'm doing a good job. You find out later on you're in that office and you're getting terminated for something. It does happen. And I'm just going to say this: never feel comfortable when going into work. You don't go to work to make friends. You may end up with some friendships in the end, depending on the person, but for the most part, you go to work to do your job. And all this crap about teamwork, bullshit, there's no I in team. I go into work, I'm home, make money, run my household, and that's it. I don't care about those people, even if they died. Okay, let them go because they wouldn't care anything about me if something happened to me. Number of individuals, when you go to work too, and you're one that wants to move up and they're stagnant, you're not going to be able to get along with them either. You got a lot of egos. You got a lot of people who think they got more power than you do, although they are on the same level you are. And again, a supervisor. Supervisors really can't fire anybody. They're not managers. They're supervising the operations. Supervisors think they're the boss. No, a manager can fire, not a supervisor. Supervisor, again, is just supervising the operations that are taking place. Now, supervisor can report you to a manager, and then you have to go through HR. And again, I'm just going to say this: when you go to work, for the most part, document everything you do. And it's going to get worse out here. And this whole scheme about work, there are a lot of ghost jobs out here. You get fired, they don't fill those jobs. The pay has gotten better, but it's still a game to get a job. The whole workforce is like a high school. It's got a high school atmosphere. The culture is unprofessional. You got co-workers and managers. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to work in a team, although they espouse working in teams. Many of them, they don't even understand the assignment themselves. Some of them were placed there because they couldn't do the job. And in some areas, you have too many chiefs and not enough Indians. And in the end, you as an employee, you're going to go in there and do your job, you're going to suffer. And my job is to tell you, comes to going to work, know that policy in and out. Understand, if you're in a big corporation, you're just a number. Do your job. Don't worry about getting any awards, becoming employee of the month. Got to be somebody's pet favorite in order to get that. Got to deal with a lot of politics at work. And all these news media outlets, that's what you deal with. It's all corporate. Corporate people only care about the stockholders, not the stakeholders. And in the end, when you go to work, you have to have a strategy. Just make sure if you take a break, back on time, somebody's always watching. And you have to, I'm not going to say be paranoid, but you got to have this gut belief of paranoia. Somebody's watching, like that old song by Rockwell that came out in 1984. I got a feeling somebody's watching me. Somebody is watching you. Look at Don Lemon, 17 years. 17 years. Look at Tucker Carlson. Again, he was on Crossfire with Bill Cross. I'll remember those two having debates. And he was on a show called Meet the Press back in those days. He was young. Remember when Don Lemon came to CNN? 2007. It's the year when the New England Patriots went 16-0 and lost the Super Bowl. Remember that year? But in the end, you can give them your all and still be out. That's why I say work smart, not hard. Go to work, get your job done, and go home. And I wouldn't even associate with anybody off the clock. If you're going to deal with somebody at work, at the same company, make sure they work at like the government, make sure they work at another agency. But you got to be careful there on the clock. When you're on the clock, there's always something that can happen. You guys out there, don't worry about these women on the job. There's plenty of them out there. Because if you start thinking about the vajayjay on the job, your ass is going to be out the door. You look what happened to Bill O'Reilly at Fox. Something alleged. Everybody's coming out. Women are coming out. Alleged. You've had guys who've lost their jobs and they can't recover. But again, luckily, Bill O'Reilly has recovered. Glenn Beck. I mean, this is Fox now. And Fox used to be the #1 network as far as viewers, but they've just lost it. Rupert Murdoch is letting his sons run the channel, and his sons are a little bit more liberal. It's going down the drain. And all network news is going down the drain. And the workforce has already gone out to lunch. It's not coming back. And this country is getting worse, worse. We're so hell-bent on trends and making people feel good. And we're giving all these people, we're lying. America, we're calling it America, the American dream. No, it's the American scheme. Only a few of us have the money. But we as little people, we love what we do. We need to have a business. And with all that's said and done, I'm happy that so many individual brothers are making money off of YouTube. But just watch your back with YouTube too, because if something goes wrong, all the subscribers you got, one of these women who complain, who will complain, they had listed a long time ago with this so-called gender war. Like your channel, you got to start all over again. That's a lot of money you're losing, even though you're telling the truth. And that's the problem. You have certain demographic that doesn't want to deal with truth, but yet they want to put their truth out there. And you're supposed to be silent. That's a problem. When you only have speech one way, that's not free speech. That's an echo chamber. And in the end, that doesn't work. And that's what causes conflict. And with the networks out here, with all the sports out here, it's going up in flames. It's not interesting to watch anymore. Again, we have too many individuals who are children in the head. I mean, how can so many people be oversensitive about what comes out of somebody's mouth? The best thing to do is you don't have to listen to it. Look at people like Alex Jones. He got ousted off of YouTube. You don't have to listen to him, but you got offended because you chose to listen to him, even if you didn't agree with him. I didn't listen to Don Lemon, but I didn't want him to lose his job. I mean, after Bill O'Reilly left Fox, wasn't a big Fox fan after that. After he got ousted, they had some heavy hitters on Fox in the workplace. And I'm just going to say this again. It's not for you to like who you work with. Just do your job, take some money, start something on the side for yourself. If you want to be free, you have to get out of the workplace. You know, I wish I had a lot of that information passed to me from my mom and dad instead of, you go to college, you run up a bunch of debt, you really don't get a return on an investment. You're still paying student loans back and you have other bills and you're working for somebody, you're making them rich. And you could be working for somebody who's less educated than you are, who doesn't even know how to do the job better than you do. And if you have any recourse about it, they're going to let you go because they can. They have all the power. Bottom line is, if you don't want anybody to have the power over you, start your own. Don't go into the workforce and act like it's going to be comfortable, because the workplace is uncomfortable. And I'm not going to lie to you about that. I've been in situations from my own experience. I don't like the workplace. It's too many snakes in the workplace. And the person that is sitting next to you, you can't trust them. They ask you a question, just say you don't know. It's not even good to go out to company functions anymore, because if something happens there, although it's a company function, they can let you go. I mean, with us black people, we're too hell bent on going to work for somebody else. You'll never get rich working for somebody else. You see, now we had made money like Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon. We could take that million and invest it and make even more money, start our own networks. Many of us don't have that kind of capital. And some of us have to put something up for collateral if we want to start a construction company or a restaurant. We got to go get loans, and that puts us in a position that we don't want to be in either, because then we have to pay the loans back. Have to put some things on credit, and when some things on credit, it can mess up your credit. And with a job, they're not really paying you a lot of money anyway, because believe it or not, pay a lot of taxes, especially if you live in places that are blue states, California, New York, and Jersey. You can't really enjoy yourself at work. You have to understand that the workplace isn't for everybody. And do I understand why some people decided that they wanted to live off the government benefits instead of going back to work? No, sitting back, I do understand. So they didn't want to deal with the dumb stuff at work. Now, I don't agree with them being lazy. However, when you go into work, you know what you got to deal with. can't be comfortable. It's just not a smooth ride. And you imagine 40 hours of that a week or more. You don't know who's watching you. It's always an uncomfortable feeling. And see, I always knew when I was going to get canned. That's why I kicked other resumes out. So the best thing to do, if you know you're going to get canned, just quit. Let's go in there. No, I'll resign. It's better. Because people complain and you don't know who's complaining. That's the problem. Should you have a right to face your accuser? There are a lot of people in your business who shouldn't be in your business, in the workplace. And like I said, in the end, the workplace is a joke. It's unprofessional. It's juvenile. I'm just going to say this. When you go to work, always be cautious. Because the day you go into work could be your last day. If you don't believe me, you ask people like me who have been terminated, had to find new jobs. A job is what it is. You're always broke with a job, just off broke. And so you're treated like crap at a job because the company knows you need that job. And see, if you don't need that job and you don't care, you know you can find another job. Because yeah, you can go out and find another job, but guess what? It's another set of problems. No company is perfect. And it's not perfect because you got to deal with assholes everywhere you go. Now, these news networks, they're corporations. Even though Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon made big money, you still had people who made even bigger money. And let me tell you this, the one with the gold makes the rules. And that's why we call it the golden rule. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some educational content, check out the second channel called the QCIS channel, formerly the Mind of STEM channel. On that channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, if you cannot find the 411 Talk Zone radio show or the QCIS channel on YouTube, you can always check both of those channels out on Twitter. For the QCIS channel, I take it one step further since it is an educational channel. You can also check out my Twitter page for the QCIS channel. And in the end, be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, change it. And once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.